for it.
Hello, everybody. I am Nahshondion. I'm a teaching artist and a creative nonfiction writer. I am doing a series of YouTube interviews in celebration of Black History Month. Today, I have with me jilllewis. She's an architectural and interior designer. Jilllewis has combined both building massing and interior concept design, interior space planning, programming, selection of interior finishes, and the design of custom furniture and other original pieces. Lewis is an artist, architect, and interior designer whose work includes luxury high-end residencies in Palm Beach, Florida, the remodeling of public spaces and condominiums in Coral Gables, Florida, ecologically friendly custom homes in Los Angeles, the world-famous Kodak Dolby Theater, home of the Academy Awards, as well as projects which give back to the community. Lewis is a highly creative and visionary citizen of the planet. Jilllewis, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
You. I'm doing great. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am wonderful. I think we had scheduled this for last Sunday, but you just started in-person teaching again at LA Trade Tech, so had to accommodate your schedule.
Thank you. And it's just an honor to be here, so thank you. And it's a special honor considering it's Black History Month. So.
It is Black History Month. It is. This is in celebration and honor of Black History Month.
Which I'm like, whatever.
So actually, I had it towards the end. Why is it important for us to celebrate Black History Month?
Oh my goodness. Oh, because it was ignored for so long. And not only ignored for so long, but all the wonderful achievements were diminished and hidden, and nobody knew about them, especially Black people, but nobody knew about them. And that's ridiculous. It's coming out now, and things like the wonderful woman that was at NASA, there was always George Washington Carver was the one example that might have been known, but
when you say the woman at NASA,
I forgot her name.
I forgot her name too, but she passed away, I think within the past 2 years. They made a movie after her, right? Okay,
They did.
Right. Okay, so we
did.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I grew up. I'm from Pasadena. I grew up next door to JPL.
Yeah, I know JPL's out there. Yeah.
Literally, like in my backyard, and I could walk. Well, couldn't walk there. It's heavily guarded, but it was like being so close to. Yeah, I would consider, I guess, like a engineering science industry. As a child, I didn't realize the significance of it, but as I got older, it's like, wow, that's connected to outer space.
Yeah, what we take stuff for granted as children, and then later on we go, oh.
Sure do. We sure do. And so speaking of children and speaking of communities where we grew up at, where are you from?
Okay, so I'm from Chicago, and it's funny because I wasn't especially into architecture in Chicago. I was a dancer, and then I went to art school, but I always thought, oh, the real buildings are in Europe. Now looking back, I'm like, oh, Chicago had fabulous architecture, but we take it for granted as children. It's just what we grow up with. So
what decades did you, is it okay? What decades, we need some context, Jill. What decades did you grow up in Chicago?
50s and 60s.
In the
60s and 60s, yeah.
60s.
Yeah, and it was a fabulous time to be there.
So tell us about your short-lived career as a dancer.
I think it was a fluke. I think my mother worked, so they just put me in class because she wasn't home after school, and it just turns out I was good. And I fell in love with it, and the teachers fell in love with me. I had scholarships. I was being groomed to be a real prima donna, not a fake prima donna. And yeah,
are you throwing shade?
But not to you, but to some people.
It's okay. I'm not a dancer.
Yeah. A real prima donna means you work harder than anybody else. That's what it means. And I danced with Ballet Celeste in San Francisco. It was like a little children, sort of children up to 18. It was a ballet company that toured the United States. And then at some point, I wanted to hang out with the kids because in those days, if you wore lipstick or jewelry into class, they'd call you a streetwalker and throw you out of class.
Oh no. Ooh, that's shade.
Well, it was very strict. It was different times. And because I had scholarships, I was expected to really
Get in line.
perform. Oh yeah.
And so you had no desire. You had no desire to be a dancer. That was something just your.
Oh, I did. It's just that at some point I freaked out and wanted to know what the rest of life was like. So I said, it's my life.
Okay.
Because they had it all lined up for me. They had my life figured out where I'd be every year.
Oh wow.
And
Oh wow.
You
weren't having it.
Yeah, exactly.
So did that shape a portion of your identity?
Absolutely. It's probably the strongest, one of the strongest, because the discipline, and also the knowing what's deep down inside of me, B.
One of my favorite films is I think is it Black Swan?
Fantastic film.
Oh, crazy, just crazy. And I love it. If there was one thing that I probably could be, I would have loved to have been a dancer. And ballerina is just so beautiful. And it's just, and I've been watching the Alvin Ailey, the documentary.
My favorites.
Oh,
my favorites.
I really do love dance. So
yeah.
Why is that your favorite?
Ailey?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because when I was growing up, it was so strict and I never understood, I wanted to dance to everything and didn't understand why you couldn't. So I had already quit and I was already in art school, and we got to take I was just taking classes for fun with Joseph Holmes in Chicago, who was actually African-American, but Ailey came to town. We got to do a master class, and then they took us to the auditorium, and Judith Jamison came out on stage. You got to remember, this was the 70s. Judith Jamison comes out in rehearsal, and she comes out to rehearse to Stevie Wonder. I'm like, oh, I died and went to heaven.
Oh, wow. You never mentioned this before.
I know. Well, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot.
I can't believe you. I could pinch you for holding back. So
it's not that I'm holding back. It's just that it didn't come up because that's just a part that I don't access. But, so that was it. Like, and Ailey, you've seen Revelations?
No.
The one where they're wearing all white and they come out with.
I saw
Everybody's seen it. Yeah. And I was like, I fell in love because Ailey's got the technique and the freedom.
For me, I've always been aware of his name since I probably was, I think, maybe a teenager. And that's only because he's buried at Rose Hill Cemetery in Whittier, California.
Oh, really?
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and several of my family members are there. So I always knew Alvin Ailey was he's buried there.
I didn't know I didn't know that.
Yeah, Southern California. So,
all right, moving on.
Did you have any African American friends growing up? Any other?
Oh yeah. Well, that was the thing. It's Chicago, So there were especially one, but there were a couple of girls in the class that were African American, and one of the things we talked about this before. So I was like 6 or 7 and in the Nutcracker, and I was just really good. So they gave me a part and then they gave me understudy for a couple of other parts, which is unheard of. So one day I got to somebody got sick, so I got to do the understudy part. My mother wasn't around, right? So Patty and her mother helped me, Patty McCoo, and Patty was African American, and she was a beautiful dancer.
Mhm.
And me and my mom just wasn't prejudiced. Don't ask me, so I was lucky. So, but we always felt so bad because we knew that Patty would not be able to dance in this country. And she was a gorgeous dancer. And you can't be a dancer and not see who's good and who's not good, She was a gorgeous dancer and she happened to be Black, so it was like, we knew that, and we knew she'd have to go to Paris if she ever wanted to dance professionally. But anyway, Patty and her mom helped me get ready because my mom wasn't around.
Get ready for?
This part that I got to do.
Oh, okay.
This extra part.
That was going to go into my next question. Did any African Americans impact your life?
Yeah, well, I never forgot. They were the only one that showed me some kindness and took, nobody else was going to help me. I was like 6 or 7 and nobody was going to help me. And I was like, I'm a little kid. And they showed me this kindness.
You've got a good memory, Jill, because.
Well, it impacted me.
Obviously it did, because I mean, I have a memory of my father when he passed away around, I think I was around age 4, and that's one of my very limited, very few memories from just being a kid. But
yeah,
I mean, if it impacts you, you're going to remember. So
yeah, it did. I was like, everybody else left me stranded.
Left you hanging.
Yeah.
You experienced shade at the age of 6.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's shade. You did perform, right?
Yeah.
Did Patty and her family attend the performance?
Oh, her mom was there. Like most little girls had their moms there.
Mm-hmm.
My mom just had to work, so she wasn't there.
Did
they were there.
Did any of your family show, or no?
I'm sure they showed once or twice. I don't remember really. It just wasn't. I knew she took me there to audition. I mean, she probably had to take time off work to do that,
mm-hmm.
which wasn't that easy back then.
Back then, yeah. And
she didn't have any kind of a fancy job, so it was like, yeah.
And Jill, are you the only child?
No, I had a brother. He's gone now.
Oh, okay.
He was 11 years older than me, so I almost was an only child, but not really, so.
Mm-hmm. And at what age did you start to take notice of like architecture or buildings and designs? Do you remember?
Well, I know, I knew they were there.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't in love with them like I was dance. But, I was this little kid. We ran all over the Chicago Opera House. Like there were 8 basements, and then, up on the catwalk, we were crawling all over the catwalk and like little rats, so, but I think, it was just always there. And Chicago's really a beautiful city.
I've been there several times. It's yeah, there's some beautiful architecture there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I just took it for granted, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think there's something to be said about dance and either sculpture or architecture, because it's the physicality of both of them. So I think it comes into play somehow, and I couldn't quite tell you how, but I'm sure with the neurochemistry and
I found myself going back to view the Alvin Ailey documentary. I've watched it like 5 times, and
wow.
It's just like, you watch something and you see something new, or you understand something differently, and it's just like, wow, it's just really, really, really beautiful. Gives me much more appreciation for dance.
Oh, it's something else. Yeah.
It is.
Well, I just, whatever.
At what age did you have your first sample of soul food? Did you get to Chicago?
Oh yeah.
What did you have? Do you remember?
Probably ribs.
Uh-huh. What part of
Probably.
Chicago did you, what part of Chicago did you?
I was in the, I was like very far north. I was almost up by Evanston, but I took the L downtown. Like
Okay.
I took the L alone from the age of 6 or 7.
Stop.
Well, that's how it was in those days. Nowadays, they'd arrest.
6
I'm
or
here to tell you about it. So nothing happened to me. So, yeah, exactly. So, it was it was so different. It was so different.
I'm sure it was. And so, what do you remember about the Black Panthers and Huey
Oh, yeah.
and Bobby Seale?
So that was later on, and I was already either ready to fly away from home or had flown away and came back, or I don't remember. But that was, and again, my experience with the Black community, to me, like even riding the buses and the L's and stuff, like I would see these women dressed beautifully and they were elegant, Black women. They were probably teachers or something looking back,
Middle class.
yeah, middle class. And there's this huge middle class Black community and wealthy, too. All Chicago's a different place. And so the Black intellectuals, they had gotten, just like a lot of the white people, then they had gotten good, free college educations. And they were really intellectuals. So they were the ones that were leading some of them, and like Angela Davis and some, they were leading the thought movement, and they were so brilliant in how they were analyzing things, right? They really, and people like Dick Gregory, who was a comedian, but he was political, right? And they were so brilliant, so I think a lot of the little white hippie kids, really got their cues from the Black intellectuals. I don't think the movement the whole 60s thing would have been what it was without the Black intellectuals and without the killing of some of the Black Panthers and stuff, because they were so smart and so succinct.
They were information.
Right. And they really led the white kids, I thought.
Did you have any peers or friends who participated in any of the demonstrations and activities?
Demonstrations. Well, I had left home. I was in San Francisco.
Oh.
Or no, well, wait a minute. What happened? Let me try to figure out the timeline. I remember leaving. Oh, I know what happened. I had a friend. We didn't rehearse this, obviously. I had a friend, my friend Don Lewis, no connection to last name. He had come from Oklahoma, and you remember the underground newspapers that used to be in the 60s?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No.
Before your time. I know. Well, anyway, Don was like doing the artwork, selling the ads, writing the copy. He was doing the whole thing. And this other guy that had like the head shop on the Wall Street, which was like the strip, he was putting up the money. So Don threw a pencil and paper at me. He said, "Here, write an editorial." So I did.
Oh, wow.
So that was about the gathering of the tribes and all this stuff. It's just the way I saw reincarnations from Egypt and Ireland and blah, 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 this prosaic thing. And the guy from the money with the paper came back and he looked at it and he said, "I don't want to hear this stuff. I want to hear about kill the cops on Wall Street."
You don't still have that, do you? That editorial, do you?
Oh, God, no.
No.
But anyway, so, and I knew that I had friends that I had met, like I was working in a pizza place, right? So these people came to town from San Francisco and they said, why don't you come to San Francisco? And I knew that the scene in San Francisco was so different than it was in Chicago. I said, I'm out of here.
Okay, okay,
So
okay.
yeah, there were all kinds of demonstrations. And it's like, I had friends, I said, you guys are going to get your heads banged in. I said, I know the cops in Chicago. I had like little girl friends whose father were cops and they scared me, you know.
Wow.
This was before there was politics involved.
Did you often hear, do you remember overhearing any of their conversations regarding them being out in the field policing?
No.
No.
No, we were just, you know, two little girls.
You were too little, yeah, yeah, you wouldn't have
But
known.
their fathers scared me. They were just big, violent, you know, you could just tell they're gruff, you know. So I said, you guys are going to get your heads banged in. And the people that were organizing it said, oh, no. I said, yeah, you are. You don't know Chicago. So.
Oh, wow. So what about the student for the SDS, the student for
SDS? Yeah, I had some friends, and that was really started in Michigan, and I had some friends that belonged to it. I just, you know, I was in theater and dance, and I ran off to San Francisco, and what can I say? And not that I'm not political, but, you know, I think there was as much politics that came through the lyrics of song. There was a lot of politics that came through the lyrics of song, you know, so that was more my bent, I would say. And
so from Chicago to San Francisco, 1968, and then from San Francisco, you made your way down to Los Angeles.
Yeah, I was married at the time. Housing in San Francisco was and still is so expensive. And I was married to Michael, and Michael wanted to move to LA. So I was dragged kicking and screaming. And
where did you first land at in LA?
Highland Park.
Oh, I know. That's next door to my neighborhood, Highland Park. Yeah.
Yeah, you know where Highland Park is. Some
Next
little, yeah. Right off of York Boulevard, some little, you know.
Oh, wow. Oh, I wasn't born yet. Wait, no, I wasn't.
What year were you born?
1978.
No, you weren't born yet. Damn, this is embarrassing.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Look, that's why we needed to get you on film.
Guess so. I guess so. LA was different. It was so different.
Different how? What do you remember most about it?
It's just a different world. Well, we didn't last too long in Highland Park, and then we moved to Laurel Canyon. So Laurel Canyon, you just spit and you're down on the Sunset Strip, right? Which 68, 69, 70, 71, the Strip, Laurel Canyon. My neighbors were all what became the famous rock stars. They weren't famous at the time, or they were just who? Oh my God. The Doors and Linda Ronstadt and Frank Zappa and Flo and Eddie and you know, the big names. I think David Crosby was still there because I remember we ran into him. And I have a funny story about David Cassidy. Moved before he was on TV, the Partridge Family, before he was even on TV, the studio rented him a house 2 doors up, and his mother came and stocked the refrigerator. And he was like 18. He didn't know how to cook, so I got the food and we cooked, you know.
You were hanging out with all these rock stars.
Some of them, sometimes. Yeah, sometimes. Wow. It was, you know, I was in the Soup, and then everybody was down on the Strip. And
you said in the Soup, what's that?
In the mix, you know.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were in the gumbo, you know what I mean? We were just part
Oh,
of
you
the
know about
program.
gumbo? Yes, yes. Uh-huh.
You know, we were all there. Yeah, I mean, some famous people. And then really we had ran into the Velvet in Chicago, the Velvet Underground, and we were friends with them. And they would come stay at the Chateau Marmont and be ever so East Coast compared to the West Coast hippies.
And so you mentioned to me before that you had a friend named Sheila. How did you meet her? Was it around this time?
So Sheila, after, so I was with Michael. It was an abusive relationship. And I finally got free of it, finally. And I was working in some bar, and so was Sheila, and we became friends. And she was, whatever the politically correct term is, African-American Black. And we just kind of, she had just come out of a marriage, and I had just gotten free, and we just became friends and roommates. And we
You
used
didn't put
to
something
say
in,
we
Jill,
saved each other. Huh?
you didn't put something in his drink, did you?
No, I tried to get away so many times. Finally, I mean, I must have more than half a dozen times, and he'd always find me and drag me back. And finally, the people across the street gave me shelter one night, and he never thought to look.
Never thought to go there. Okay.
Funny
And
story.
You referenced Sheila as your soul sister.
Oh yeah, well we used to look at each other and say, oh, we saved each other's lives. And so she was from West Covina, actually. And so we became friends and roommates, and I guess soul sisters, whatever. And so we'd I don't know, I didn't tell you this story, but I will now. So, you know, we were 20, maybe 21, maybe, I don't know how old we were. I'd have to figure it out. So we'd like dress up. There was some club like down on Crenshaw, and we get dressed up.
What you know about Crenshaw?
Well, I was with Sheila. So
Jill, you know that's where all the trade hangs out at, right?
It was like 1970.
It doesn't matter. The trade was around back then.
Probably. Yeah, no, I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was. So I forgot if I was wearing a wig or not. So Sheila had put on all white, and I put on all black, and we'd go out dancing, and we'd drive the boys nuts.
And so,
well, this is the good part. So we're down at this club down in Crenshaw, and this black guy, you know, brother, whatever you want to say, you know, he comes up to the two of us and he goes, "Are you two sisters?" We're like, we look at each other like, we went, "Yeah, we're sisters." So after that, I started saying we're strictly purple.
oh, okay, that's okay.
That's where that came from. It's like, she's not black or white, I'm not black or white, we're just purple. It's like, yeah, we're sisters, sure.
From the purple planet.
From the planet purple.
So Jill, what club could that have been? Maverick's Flats?
Was it Maverick Flats, or was that down there? Maverick Flats? Does that sound about right?
By Crenshaw and Vernon?
Could be.
Okay, the club that you went to, was it or is it near the Crenshaw Plaza Mall?
Yeah, not far. I think it was way before the mall.
Oh, I don't know.
No, it was a long time ago. It was before you were born.
So, and like, okay.
It was music and dance. It was a DJ and dance, nothing live.
And what kind of music was it? It was jazz?
No, like
what?
Pop, you know, maybe Sly Stone and, you know, whatever was hip at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Black music, soul music. I grew up in Chicago, so it was like, whatever.
Sheila was your soul sister, but you're also a soul sister.
I guess.
So did you
but I never tried to like come off like I'm Black, it's like, I'm just me. And she was just her.
You're just you. Did you go roller skating too?
I didn't a lot. I think I went once or twice. Mercy did. And Lucy was from New York. She was Puerto Rican. Lucy used to roller skate a lot.
And for the people that don't know, who are just this me,
they were the GTOs.
Who was Mercy?
Mercy was also my soul sister, but she was white. And she married Shuggie Otis, who was Johnny Otis's son. And Johnny Otis was Greek, and he passed for Black, and he played all the jazz clubs down on Central in the 40s and 50s.
Oh, wow.
Johnny Otis was Little Willie in the hand jive.
You're giving us some real Black history. Even if it was people, Jill, even if it was people passing for Black.
I know. It's all, so I mean, to me, it's just all a blur, But anyway, so Johnny's son, Shuggie, and Shuggie, Shuggie's songs, Strawberry Letter 23, and they used it in, what was that movie, Dallas Buyers Club? And
oh my God, Jill, that was one of my favorite movies. The director just died, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, the director.
I can't keep track of everything. I'm like,
director, he passed away, I think, within the past month or two.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, they chose one, I think they chose Sweet Thing in that movie, not Strawberry Letter. Anyways, Shuggie, Mercy, who was my good friend, and Lucy, who was my good friend, they're both gone now. They were in Frank Zappa's girls group, the GTOs, and Mercy married Shuggie. So.
And Mercy, I remember I met Mercy, I think maybe 3 or 4 times, because I think we used to eat at Cantor's on Fairfax. She's the one who wrote the book, I'm with the band, right?
No, that's Pamela. And I was, I'm friends with Pamela, but we just never really, I can't tell you why. We like each other, but we just never clicked, And nothing against her. She's just didn't happen, I think Pamela was probably a little suburban, and I'm kind of a city kid.
We should definitely mention how we met and our mutual friend.
Oh, do you want me to tell the story?
Yes, please. Yes, this is your interview.
Wow.
Fine.
Okay, well, Nahshon, I heard about Nahshon from Barry. Barry went to high school with me. He was an attorney. And Nahshon up in Pasadena or South Pass, I forget. And Nahshon, I heard about Nahshon before I met him, her, and whatever. Nahshon puts on this.
Whatever.
Whatever. I can't keep track of all these details. So Nahshon, I heard Barry defended him. He puts on this gown, jumps on the Rose Bowl float, and he's going like this. And all the little Rose Bowl queens are looking like, what? And I thought that was the funniest thing I had ever heard. I fell in love before I even met you. I just thought that was the greatest, funniest thing in the world. So we met through Barry, who got him, defended him from all that.
Barry
Coppola, who went to the same high school I did.
After I was arrested, I needed a lawyer, and I went to the LGBT Center in Hollywood, and Barry was doing volunteer work, and he represented me. So tell me this, you went to high school with Barry? Yeah,
but
were you friends back then? Did you know him?
I knew him and I knew of him, but we weren't really close. And I was still involved in the dance world when I was until I was about 16, 17.
How did you reconnect with him in California?
My friend Judy, who was my best friend in high school, who had kept up her friendship with him. And then Barry was with Skip at the time.
Skip was his
And
lover. And so I believe that well, that's news to me. I didn't know you heard about me before we met. I believe
oh yeah,
we probably met at one of his New Year's Eve parties, and it probably had to be, no, we might have met maybe within 6 months or a year after. We definitely would have spent, I mean, 20 years is a long time, but now that I think about it, I'm sure we spent our first New Year's Eve together, which would have been New Year's Eve of 2000, New Year's Eve going into 2001.
wow.
Yeah, we would have
Up at
spent
the house.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably tending bar.
With Storm and the cats and all of the people in LA. We've had so many memories and have ate so much Thai food and Chinese food in downtown LA. Tell me this, are a lot of our friends or people that we knew, are they still with us?
No, that's very painful. You know, Pookie,
Lyndon Barrett.
Lyndon, he's gone, and Skip, who everybody loved.
Mm-hmm.
Skip's gone. Who else did we know in common? Everybody's dispersed. Skip was kind of this glue that kept everybody together. Mel is still with us.
You've always said that, Jill.
Well, I always felt that everybody loved Skip. Skip was just like that.
And I met Skip prior to meeting Barry. I was at a party on the Labor Day 1997. I was at a party near Pico and Wilmington, Pico and Western. I was at a party and Skip was there. And I remember the party because a child next door had drowned.
Oh, Lord.
The party ended abruptly and everything, but I remember that specifically. And I remember, and I was disappointed because no one told me about no one told me about Skip's service. So I didn't get to, that's why I wasn't there. I wasn't.
Oh, you're kidding.
I had no, I didn't, I did not know.
Oh.
And what's his name? Lyndon, that's the first person.
Lyndon.
That's the first person who passed away, whose service I've ever attended, releasing their ashes in the ocean. And that was so beautiful.
It was beautiful.
And
it was beautiful.
And he was a beautiful guy. Very, very, I mean,
yeah.
I could only imagine the contributions that he would have continued to make if he was still with us.
Well, Lyndon, he was chair of African American Studies in
UC Riverside.
And then he went on to Irvine or something. So even I think it was a year after his death, there was a conference or something where people like these scholars came in from all over the country. Mm-hmm. And he would write like, I couldn't understand. I have a master's in architecture. I'm not a slouch, but Lyndon was he would write so dense. It would take you years to read what he wrote. And yet he was just the sweetest. He was just the sweetest, so.
He was, yeah.
Yeah, he would have taken over the world if he wanted it.
I remember
why he would have.
I remember I went to his home in Long Beach and he invited me over and we had some food. I don't remember if he purchased it or cooked it. And I was just like, wow, he was just.
Oh, he was so
amazing. Really nice person.
Yes.
And I've come across a lot of people and a lot of them haven't been nice, but he was really
right.
Nice.
No, he would, to me, he's always Pookie. There's this world famous scholar that blows people out of the water. Pookie.
And did he, how did Pookie?
Oh, no, that's what I heard Skip calling him.
Oh, Skip named him that. Okay, Skip named him Pookie. Okay.
Maybe, I don't know who did.
Wow.
And Kenny's in New York,
Mm-hmm. We talked, I think, some time ago on Facebook.
Okay, he's in the city.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I think
So-
he's doing good. And who else?
I think that's it. So you said you have a master's in architecture. How did you transition into becoming an architect, and what is design?
Yeah, well, I had gone back to Chicago to take care of my dad. My dad was sick, and I took a class at the Art Institute, and they offered me a scholarship. I was running around, like you say, I was running around the streets of LA with Sheila, like, God knows where we were. And in those days, in those rock and roll days at the Riot House,
Tell me that, did you have on some Daisy Dukes?
Oh yeah, they called them hot pants.
Yeah, hot pants. Okay.
That we probably made ourselves.
Okay. Running around in hot pants on Crenshaw.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we were crazy. We were, so I'm running around the streets of LA. They offered me a scholarship at Art Institute. I was like, well, let's see, run around the streets and die, take the scholarship, so I was a little wild, but I wasn't stupid,
Right, exactly.
So I took
People do tend to think wild and stupid.
Well, I smarted up and I was young enough. I didn't do that much drugs, surprisingly.
Oh, what did you do?
Danced, listened to. I like to dance.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. The music was good. I'm embarrassing myself.
No. This is all.
I mean, I did. I'm no angel. I did some, but I always knew when to back off. I just said that's enough.
Yeah.
And in those days, not everybody did, especially all the famous rock stars.
Mm-hmm. Did you lose some friends back then?
Oh yeah, I lost a lot back then. And Obi, a friend of ours. Well, our friend Obi, nobody calls him Obi anymore. Marlo, he has Jimi Hendrix jacket. Jimi Hendrix's fringe jacket, because when Jimmy died, Devin, I'm telling these stories. Yeah, Devin.
Stories, honey.
Well, Devin, who is maybe was Dolly Dagger. Remember that song? That was Devin.
I don't
Anyways,
know that.
Yeah, it's an old Jimmy.
Never even heard of it.
I know.
Dolly
Well,
Dagger.
Jimmy died, and whoever, I don't know if it, I've heard Mercy say that it was Keith. I don't know. Somebody sent Devin over to where Mercy was staying with Marlo. I think Mercy was also stoned out of her mind at the time.
Mhm.
And they gave somebody the jacket. So Marlo's got the jacket.
Marlo's still living.
He's still living in Florida, yeah, or New York. He's in New York now. He's another one in New York. We lost Lucy a little bit later. We lost, I mean, I wasn't friends with Jimmy, but I guess, Mercy knew him. And then, of course, the Doors were running around the canyon, and Lucy went a little bit after, and all another couple of GTOs went right about then, right about 70, and people were dropping like flies. They were just addicted.
Did you go to some of Jimmy's performances?
Oh yeah, the very first day, we were living in San Francisco, and we were living across from the Panhandle, and they came back from England to San Francisco to make it big in America, and we were in the front row. Although I can't find myself in photos, I thought we were in the front row. I remember hanging onto the stage. I don't know.
Mhm.
And Mercy, I guess, introduced him, but I didn't know Mercy at the time either.
Oh, okay.
It's all so weird. You know, everything happens so fast, it seems like. But yeah, so we were at his very first performance in Golden Gate, in the Panhandle in Golden Gate
Ew.
Park. And then,
I don't know anyone who's ever met or seen Jimi Hendrix perform.
oh, you're kidding.
I'm not kidding, no.
Oh, man.
You know,
I'm sure I've seen him a few times after that, but that was his entree back into America. Yeah, wow.
I've learned so much more about you, and just wow, like I
Well,
knew,
we're still in the early days.
even though you're purple, you know, you're not Black, you're purple. I knew you would still be a good subject to interview for Black History Month.
Oh, yeah, right. Back to that. Well, a lot of my friends, I guess, you know, growing up in Chicago, you know, I like to say to people, you know, Chicago, the environment, I said, Chicago gave you Oprah and Obama.
Mm,
It's the whole environment. It's the whole way the city runs.
mm.
So it's like, you know, and I told somebody the other day, my chiropractor is Japanese, and we were talking about something. I said, you know, it's not that I don't see color. I see color, but I like it. You know, I see it, but it's like, I want the whole box of crayons. I want as many colors in the box as I can get, you know?
Jill, if there wasn't some color in this world, I would not want to be here.
Thank you.
I would
I'd be
say
so
goodbye.
bored.
No, thank you. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it'd be so boring,
Mm-mm.
you know, so
And
I guess.
speaking of color, what do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about you working on the Kodak Theater first, or do you want to talk about your visual art?
I don't know. The Kodak Theater was great. It was just work. You know, I had gotten out of architecture. I went back to architecture school late. When I was growing up, you know, the idea of becoming an architect, it just wasn't for women. Women didn't even think about it unless they were.
Were you the only female architect at the Kodak Theater, or were there?
Oh God, no, not at all.
Over a dozen. How did it work? Were there different architects for different phases of the building?
Yeah, well, the Hollywood and Highland was the whole project was in the office of Altoon and Porter, and most people were on the retail team, and there were 4 of us on the theater team.
Oh.
And actually 3 of us were women, and then the head of the team, of course, was Gary, but he wasn't even there most of the time. He was in meetings every day with the academy.
So tell me this: do you get to keep your blueprints?
I have some, yeah.
Are you serious?
I have some. Well, the whole thing was like, I forgot, 3 or 4 sets, like 2-3 inches thick. So I have one set, like I have some, yeah. But it was kind of a job, you know, it was a job.
Yeah. How long did you work on it for?
I worked on it for a little over a year. And then, but it was probably in planning for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
The woman sitting next to me was from Texas. She said, she called her parents one Christmas. They said, what are you working on? She said, this theater. She calls them the next Christmas. They said, what are you working on? She goes, this theater. You know, they said, well, I thought that was last year. She's like, it was.
Did you ever?
So it takes a while.
Of course. Did you ever attend the Oscars?
No, I'm nothing. I call it the Jilllewis Theater, but no.
Okay. Ain't nothing wrong with that, honey.
Yeah.
There's one of my favorite films is Hustle and Flow, and they received a Oscar for their song "It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp," and one of the lines in the movie is, and I don't know who says it, but it's towards the very end, and it's like, everybody got to have a dream.
That's right.
Everybody got to have a dream.
That's
So,
right. No, I was never there. I used to think when I was younger, when I was like living in Laurel Canyon, I thought I'd get to go, but never happened. But
did well, maybe when my screenplay, when my movie wins the Oscar, well, not wins, I'm sorry, I'm thinking ahead. When it's nominated, you'll go with me to the ceremony to get that Oscar.
okay, I'm gonna hold you to it.
It might be 10 years from now, but you
I'm
know,
gonna be in a walker.
everybody got to have a dream.
I like it. It's a great dream.
Were there any other places in LA that you worked on that I would know of, or?
I worked on the American Airlines terminal at LAX.
Oh, okay.
And
No idea.
yeah.
And I always fly through American, so.
Well, you know, what do you think I do every day before I was teaching?
What do I thought you just sit up in there and smoke, eat pot brownies. Oh, and listen to Frank Zappa.
Right. And then you wouldn't have heard of it, but I'm actually very proud. I designed a house in Monrovia that stays cool in the summer without using any air conditioning.
Really?
And yeah, it's because of the way I designed it. And air conditioning is one of the worst offenders, climate offenders. So I'm very proud of that.
Oh, wow.
But nobody's ever heard of it. But
Wow.
but
When
I'm
did you do
actually
that, Jill?
94, 96, something like that.
That you know of, is the house still there? Is it still?
Oh yeah, sure. That belongs to my friends. It's their house.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still there.
And
And
so,
yeah,
go ahead.
no, that's it.
You,
And then once in a while I paint.
yes, now you're talking about color and you love color. Let's talk about, you know, we in September of 2018, I was staying with a friend out in Riverside County, and a friend of mine, he had a bad reaction to meth. And he said that I was recording him, writing about him, videotaping him. And he put me out of his home at like, I think 3 or 4 in the morning. And I had never had something like that happen. And I was just, it was just crazy. And
you were paralyzed.
I was, and you know, it was so disturbing. But I remember you let me come and, you know, we talked to Bear, and because I wanted to stay with him, and that wasn't possible. And so I ended up staying with you for about 2 weeks in September 2018.
I hardly remember. I didn't remember that was the reason.
Oh, that was the reason why. And so it was the first time, you know, I've known you for what, 18, 19 years?
Yeah.
And it was the first time I ever saw your artwork. And I was like,
yeah, I know.
I couldn't believe that I had never seen it. And I walked into your bedroom and I was just like, you know, I wanted to walk out of there with some of it.
Well, I've been very shy, very reticent. You know, because I went to Art Institute and I didn't think I was as good as some of the other people, but well, anyway, let's move right along. I'm hoping to get some of it up now. I'm going to make a new effort. And
do you do oil paintings, abstract? Do you want to talk about
oils? It's mainly abstract oils, but I'm hoping to get some of them up as NFTs.
Oh, what you know about NFTs?
Not enough.
Oh, wow, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, I'm thinking that'd be a good market for them because I'm so well, I can't, these things are big. I paint big. And so I can't be dragging them to art shows.
And that was the thing, Jill, when you showed me, I was just like, okay, this is like museum size. I was like, wow, they were so big. And
yeah, well, I went to Art Institute. So Art Institute, they like paint bigger. You know, they're aiming
bigger is
for
better.
Yeah, well, you know, they want to get you out of this. They want you to think museum quality.
Oh, okay. So that was, okay, that's why.
You
Well,
know,
did it-
so, but I'm
is it-
hoping to get them up as NFTs now. I think that might be a good,
Hmm,
we'll see.
mhm.
Not that they're definitely don't look like cyberpunks, but that's some of the things that are making big money on NFT land.
Oh, okay,
Um,
okay.
I don't know. We'll see. I got to get somebody to help me lug them to the scanner, because they're so big. I can't get a good digital photo of them. They're big. They're big. It's like
Are
Texas.
very big. So what inspires your paintings? And what year did you start?
Oh, well, I've always painted ever since I was like 5 or 6. I've always
You were
played
born
with it.
gifted.
Yeah, I guess. Now, if I was only a businesswoman, yeah, I've always painted. I've always danced and painted, and I'm one of those.
You're one of
You
those.
know, one of those.
Do you paint images of people? Oh, no, you said they're.
Oh, it's mostly abstract, and then there's the one which is blurred out in the background here because it doesn't fit nicely into the background. That's kind of not abstract, but most of them are. And mostly, I think it's a lot about my love of color, you know,
Mhm, mhm.
a lot about color, vibrancy. And you know, color is a vibration, and it does enliven us. And I think right now we could all use a little enlivening.
Mhm.
And
That is true.
yeah, and I we'll see where it goes. I just finally got a couple of more canvases 2 days ago.
Oh, wow, okay.
So
Yeah.
I'm
When I was at your home and when I saw them, it was the first time I was in someone's home and I saw artwork that size that was that big.
yeah.
What size canvases do you buy?
Oh my God. I usually get about at least 3 by 4. And then the big one in back of me is like, it's huge. It's like 4 by 6 or something. I'm talking about feet, not inches.
Right, right.
Yeah. Well, I live, as you know, and I guess everybody does now. I live in an old warehouse, and the reason I moved in here was to have some room to do painting, to do architecture, to do whatever. It's like, I like painting big.
Mhm.
There's the physicality of it, which relates back to dance, you know. So when you make a mark, you
Mhm.
make a mark, you know, your whole body
Mhm.
goes into that painting. It's not like,
So tell me this, when you're painting, do you often find yourself dancing to a degree too as you're painting?
oh, no, not especially.
No?
No. But I mean, but like I say, the physical, I want to say the spirit or whatever comes through you onto the canvas. I don't really dance because I don't know. Of course, I haven't observed myself. Maybe I do.
You a soul sister, so you do.
Well, thank you for making me such, you know. So I mean, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, and you know, my experience was not, you know, I can't say that I've had the Black experience because let's be real clear about that. I don't want to tell anybody.
No.
Yeah, I don't want to step on it, you know, but I've been sort of this outsider. They've never known what to do with me, you know, so in that respect.
I feel the same way.
Exactly. But that isn't because you're Black, that's because you're you.
Right, exactly. But you know, I was just thinking, so many Black people have tried to revoke my Black card for
Why?
for-
I don't get it.
for my identity. And I say, you know, you can't take away my black card, and you don't.
Really?
They try to revoke my black card like they try to revoke my wigs and my makeup, and I'm like, it's not possible. Those are things that I love too much and that I would die for. So it's not.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's not happening.
Yeah. Well, I think the world's changing. Thank goodness. You
The
know,
world is slowly changing. It is. It definitely is. There's more dialogue, and there's more. And there's more understanding to some degree.
Mm-hmm. And there's more, you know, this is kind of, I don't know, it's probably not PC to say, but, you know, it's almost like these things have become fashionable. You know, so it's not only okay to talk about them, but it's cool to talk about them. It's like, oh, for God's sake.
Well, I mean, it becomes trendy and commercialized in a lot of things. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So, yeah, but whatever, you know, I mean, the baby boomers, which I am, you know, are certainly taking a lot of heat, and they certainly deserve a lot of heat. But, you know, I have to say, things have changed. So things have changed. So if nothing else, we move the conversation ahead a little bit, you know. So.
You're also an instructor at Los Angeles Trade Tech.
Yes.
How long have you been there, and what are your students?
Oh my God, I've been there like 15 years. I was out of the country. I taught in Abu Dhabi 2 years in the Middle East. And then I came back to Trade Tech. I love Trade Tech. I've taught like in taught in a number of different colleges, especially in the Los Angeles Community College system. Mm-hmm. But I really love Trade Tech for a number of reasons. It's a little bit different. Most of the programs at the other colleges, they have one agenda. They're just trying to get you into university. Mm-hmm. But at Trade Tech, we have a split agenda. We either transfer you to university or we get you a job. And we have kids that they come in with no schools at all, and within a year, they have enough CAD skills to starting pay 20, 25 an hour. So within a year. So I'm very proud of that. They don't want to go to university. Oh, okay. And every other college is just set on sending you to university. It's not for everybody.
And how convenient for you, because it's not far from your home.
Yeah, everything's, yeah.
Yeah, you could take the subway if you wanted to.
Everything, you know, you just don't know. It's like, I never would have planned this, but as it turns out, it's all worked out, you know. So,
speaking of the time that you spent in Abu Dhabi, you sent me a postcard. I don't know if you remember.
Oh, I love that. The camels.
You sent me a postcard.
Yeah.
Can I read what you said?
Oh God. Okay, go for it.
Hi, Nahshon. Hey, Nahshon, give me a kiss. You always want a kiss. Well, this might be my last camel for a bit. I'm not sure of my plans. All I know, I'm feeling good about it all. I miss home and miss my sweet friends and our crazy, fabulous attitudes. Abu Dhabi is not for me. Maybe Dubai would have been better, but it's too late now. Really, there is no place like home. Love, hugs, and Jill.
Cool.
So I think you sent me, this was in what year was that? 2010? Yeah, because I was
2010 or 11, something like that.
No, 2012, because that's when I was living in Culver City on College Avenue.
Oh, I remember that.
I had 2 apartments in Culver City. One was on Venice, and then I moved back sometime and was living on College. So it was in 2012. So this is in my archives, Jill.
Okay.
That's in my archives. So
and we used to go to Agape.
We did used to go to Agape. We did. And where was that? In
Culver City.
Consider Culver City too. Yeah, Culver City. We would go on Sundays.
It rocked.
It did, and I'm sure it still does.
No, they lost the building.
Matter of fact, that time when I was in LA, I understood that they were meeting over there near La Cienega and Wilshire.
They were meeting at the old, they were meeting at a theater. I can't think of the name of it right now. And I went once for Easter. It's a famous, gorgeous old Art Deco theater.
And they're building the subway across from it. I can't think of the name of it either. It is old. It is.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. And I got to sit way down in front, and it was Easter, and Van Morrison just happened to pop by. He was in town. Van Morrison used to run around Laurel Canyon in the day. Yeah. But when he's in town nowadays, he always stops at Agape. He loves the place. So.
Do you see a lot of people that maybe do you see people in the community that who go to Agape?
Nobody's been out of the house for 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
Because of the COVID thing.
And I remember you used to, for those of you that don't know, Jill makes a really, 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 really good chocolate fudge and peanut butter fudge. And I remember you used to, you used to give me, make it, not just for me, but I was just like, damn, this is some good fudge. And, to be honest, I had never, I think growing up in Southern California, I was just always eating Miss Fields cookies, chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, those are good.
Oh, very good. But I was just never, going to Disneyland, Magic Mountain, I ate candy apples. Fudge was always around me, Jill. I never had an appetite for it. It just didn't. I was like, no, and you sent me some for Christmas, recently for Christmas. But I feel like this is the Oprah Winfrey show. You sent me some for Christmas. And when I tell you,
it's gone.
I don't have any crumbs no crumbs in here. Jill, it was gone in like 3 or 4 days. And it was so good. And I was so mad because I wanted more. That's some damn good fudge.
Well, thank you. It's a little, I haven't been feeling great, so it was a little hard. Let's hope I feel better and I'll make you some more, but
I hadn't had
as it stands right now, I'm like, it's hard. It was more physical than I
thought. I hadn't had it in over 10 years, Jill.
That long?
Yes, that long. Yes. So when I tell you that was a treat, that made up, being here in New York, it's difficult during the winter seasons. It's lonely, it's depressing. The winter blues are just, I don't want to say a killer, but
they are.
They are. And
they are.
To receive something that sweet from a sweet person like you, I was like, that warmed me up. So
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more I can make. We'll see.
Is that your own personal recipe, or
no, I don't know where I got it off the internet or something. Like there is a recipe. I don't think it's for peanut butter fudge, but there is a recipe on the back of the can or the bottle, but I don't think it's for peanut butter. It's Joe, for that marshmallow cream.
You haven't been giving me fudge that you bought and packaged, and you haven't been.
No, I wouldn't do that.
So many people trick me, Jill. You know that, right?
Yeah, but they're fooling themselves.
I don't deal with many people because people throughout my life, they've always tried to trick me, and that hurts.
Why would they do that?
I don't know why. They lie to me. They tell me stories. I'm like,
they
just be yourself. You can hold my attention with just being you.
Thank you.
You don't have to make up all this crazy shit.
But they're doing it to everybody else too.
You know what? I know I'm not special. I'm not special.
Well, you are, but
tell me this, Jill. How special am I? Are you making fudge for other people? So let me find out.
This last year, no. I mean, I might have made a little bit, but last year I was just pooped. Yeah. I was just pooped, from teaching, and
Because you were teaching online, right?
I was teaching online, and they were the drag race. They were drag racing out in back of the house every night
Oh,
till
no.
2:30 in the morning during the week, and then all night on the weekends. So, and I'd teach class at 7 in the morning, so I
Wow.
wasn't getting any sleep for 2 years. So I got to build myself back up now that it's quiet again. I've just been taking its toll.
I was out there in Los Angeles for about a year, and my brother died in April of 2020 on my birthday. And we talked we talked a few times. One night I went outside on the street. No, I saw all these people walking east, and I was like, okay, they're walking, but I'm seeing traffic. It was almost like Crenshaw packed up, and I was like, that's odd. So the nosy person, the nosy observer and writer and curious person in me, I was like, I gotta go see what's going on. So I did, and they were drag racing in the street doing donuts, right. And I videotaped some of it, and then I was like, you know what, Nahshon, like there is a possibility that they could lose control, and
they did. All over, I mean, it was all over the city.
Yeah, it's been
and they were losing control. And in back of me, the two businesses nearby had $500,000 in damages. There were deaths. There was injuries. There was a drug overdose or two. There was shooting.
Because you live by the LA River.
Yeah. And the railroad track is by the river. But yeah, they were out there doing donuts every night.
Oh my God, I couldn't have.
It affected for 2 years. It's affected my health, and
right, of course. There's noise pollution.
Oh yeah.
I'm surprised I'm surprised some people didn't take shots at them.
Well, there's nobody who lives here.
No, I'm not talking about just in your neighborhood. I'm talking about other communities, because it's so nerve-wracking. It
was awful. So my body finally broke down, so I wasn't able to do a lot for Christmas. And I'm just recovering. And when you were here with Mel, and I went my back, and it got worse, and now I'm finally getting some therapy.
Yeah, we talked.
I think my body just finally said, "That's it, I quit." But
are you happy to be back in person teaching?
Yeah, I'm hybrid, and I am happy, and the kids love it. They're looking at me like their little eyes are just like, oh, they're happy to be back. About half of them come, and they have the choice, they have the option of whether they want to be online or come. And some of them are so anxious to be back in person. And then some of them, so it depends. But yeah, I am. And the whole tenor, this lockdown just did a number on everybody, especially the kids are so sick of it. And I call them kids, and they're adults, they're students, but because it's college. So, but some of them are just so sick of being online.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Jill, do you know any Karens, or do you know who Karen is?
You mean the phrase?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So why didn't you go outside and pull a Karen on those?
Like they would have killed me. That's why. Listen. First of all, I'm not a Karen.
No, and Jill, that's the whole thing. I like knowing you, the furthest thing from a Karen.
I'm not. This girl. I don't know if the tape's still running, but so there was this girl at Trade this, this
We're
student.
still,
I
we're
had
still
to
recording.
close.
We're still recording.
Okay, so I guess I'll tell the story.
We
So
want to hear it.
unpolitically, you might have to cut this out.
No, we're
But,
not cutting anything. We're not cutting
uh,
anything. It's Black History Month.
all right, I'll tell the story. So, when I leave, I have to lock the room. The rooms don't stay open because we got all these computers and we got all these models. And it's a really cool room. So this Black girl's working at a computer and I go, I got to close the room up. I'm leaving. And she's like, okay, Karen. And I looked at her and wait. I'm like, I didn't say it. This is what, but Stan used to always call me, Stan and Skip always used to go, Jalisha, Jakicha, all this stuff. And so I was going to say, okay, Latanda. But I didn't. Okay, Lakeisha,
Jill,
that's not PC.
Jill, that's a wig snatching moment.
Well, she's gonna call me Karen. I say, who do you think you're talking to? Like I can call you names too.
Right.
But I didn't. I just looked at her. I just went, I gotta go. I didn't say it, but that's what I was thinking.
I'm not here for this. I'm not here for this.
Okay, all right. So
No, I'm talking about you. I can see you saying that to yourself. I'm not here for this.
I was like, if I'm Karen, good luck, hon.
Jill, I've had moments like that where people have said things or made remarks towards me, and when I shot back at them, it was just a moment of like, oh, damn,
Right.
People often do forget that, you judge a book by its cover. You don't know the contents of the book. You don't know the characters of the book. And it's just one of those things where I can definitely say that I don't go out of my way to offend people.
Right.
I don't have the energy and I don't have the time. And
Right.
I've been on the receiving end of it for decades,
Right.
by all kinds of people. And, I just had to, I would more so say when I was younger, my 20s and 30s, I would be fighting so many people that I had to learn to exercise a great deal of self-control and ignore them. And I often tell people, and I guess now that I'm getting older and stuff, I'm very proud that I don't have an assault record. I'm very proud of that because, I had so many people provoke me. And I had to, be the bigger person.
Right.
It just takes one or two words, and then someone wants to grab a gun or get behind the wheel of a car and run someone over or inflict some kind of harm because their feelings got hurt based off of some shit they started or they said.
Right.
So,
no. Yeah.
No, those words are so powerful.
Well, we don't need them, especially in LA. We got, there's too many possibilities for good things here. It's like, it'd be different if we were somewhere in the middle of the country in a small town, but we're not.
Right. No, we're in how many people live in LA? Over 10 million.
Oh,
I think it's 10 million.
Something like that. That's just on a block.
Or is that 10 million in the county, LA? No, I think
don't know.
that might be 10
don't
million
know.
in LA County.
But I mean, we're such a mixture of everything here, and
Definitely.
and the spectrum. Not only a mixture, but you're going to find people, that have different beliefs. So it's like, oh my God.
And for when there were so. I mean, I've been back and forth for quite some time since I left LA in 2012, 13. But now it's been like 10 years, 10 years, 10 years. And I know, we were still in the middle of the pandemic, but just to see, when I went to, when I would go to Venice Beach and I would see some of the vendors out there selling their food and other things, it was shocking to me because that's not like, it's not the LA that I grew up. It was almost like it was foreign to me now, Jill.
It is. It's foreign to me.
I just was like in disbelief, like, damn, what happened to the LA that I grew up and loved?
Oh, it's a mess.
It's so,
well, you know, I'm mad at the city.
And Jill, remember when we were at the place, what place did Mel take us to? We had seafood.
We were downtown to Catch 22 or.
And do you remember the type of unsolicited entertainment that we saw that day?
I told people about that.
Tell the story, Jill. Tell it, honey.
Woo!
Tell it, honey.
So we're sitting there eating our little fried shrimp. And this guy walks, we're sitting outside on the patio. We don't have to wear masks. And this guy comes walking back over to where we're sitting. He goes, "There's a naked lady on the corner." I'm like, I can't see that far anyway. So she's a naked homeless lady taking a bath, taking a sponge bath, like on the corner for like 10 minutes.
Maybe
she's spending it longer.
Maybe even longer. And you know, my nosy ass had to get up and go investigate and record it. And I deleted the footage. I guess it was one of those things. It was like, what am I going to do with it? No, I've never seen anybody bathing on a corner.
Neither have I.
And Jill, people were riding by her.
Yeah.
Nobody was honking. Nobody was cursing. It was like it was just normal.
Well, LA was a mess. They were doing, donuts on corners and shootings and homeless people bathing naked on the corner and LA's
and it was in no disrespect towards her, because obviously, not only so much, that she's homeless, but obviously she has probably some mental health issues. And
yeah,
my brother, I had a brother, my brother Milton, he was homeless for over 20 years.
Oh shit.
And yeah, and I had another sister who was homeless, and she died in a fire. So for me,
oh, Lord.
And I've had some bouts with homelessness myself.
I didn't know that.
So
You've always managed to keep an apartment, I thought.
No, I have, but I had a few bumps in the road. We'll call them bumps in the road. And just one thing led to another. Next thing you know, I was just like a bag lady, Right. But I could not let it go on for, a year or 2 or 3 years. I couldn't allow that. So in no way am I poking fun or disrespecting homeless people, or mocking them. And I think that's one reason why I didn't share the video with people, because it was one of those things where I've seen so much humiliation and disrespect, people treated inhumanely. I wasn't going to add to that. There's
wise choice.
Even though we're sharing the story and we're talking about it, and we can laugh because that is a laughable moment to a degree, but it's not to further exploit it for other people's enjoyment or whatever. Because it's the reality of it is it's actually really not funny.
It really, yeah. Well, Mercy was homeless for a while.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And she was eating out of garbage cans, and I wasn't in touch with, I must have been in Florida. I know. I must have been in Florida at the time when I lived in Florida. But she was, it was drugs. And, when I would talk to her about it, she'd go, "Oh, I had a ball and blah, blah." It's like, you're in denial, girl. What? She said she enjoyed it and blah, blah, blah. It's like she was in denial, but she was homeless, eating out of garbage cans and homeless for a while. And yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, drugs. In her case.
Well, for my two siblings, it was drug and alcohol related. And, my brother, we thought he was in a coma a year before he passed away in the hospital, but he bounced back and, he was okay. And then, I got the call a year later that he actually passed away.
Mm,
And
that's hard.
I remember talking to him in 2017, and he was upset and angry about something. I don't remember. And he had housing briefly, but didn't keep it.
Right.
But the only thing that I regret that I never got to ask him was, what do you do every day?
Huh. Interesting.
You know, you have that amount of time. You have that amount of time. How do you fill it up? What do you do every day?
Well, to somebody like you, because you're a creative, you've got to do something with your time.
Oh, totally. I mean, I can't, it's not so much that I can't sit still. I need,
Your mind needs to be occupied.
right. I need something, I need some kind of structure, and that's where my writing comes into play, and my traveling, and all of the things that I do.
Right.
Even this, the interviews that I'm
Right.
doing for Black History Month.
Right.
So, and with my brother being homeless, you know, and my sister, it just, you know, when I hear all these stories, and a significant amount of the homeless people, they do pass away, and, you know, out there on the streets and stuff, it's just so, it's one of those things where it just absolutely makes no sense that we're having this humanitarian issue in the richest country in the world.
Thank you.
And people go out of their way to further harm them. People
Thank you.
set them on fire. People tear their tents down. People don't, you know, they feel like it's a shit stain or something. And it's one of those things where it's like, there's so much inequality in this world. What do you expect? And I for one, I'm happy that it's in these people's faces and right on their damn lawns and in their, I'm happy. I mean, I'm not happy that these people are homeless, but
yeah.
I'm happy that it's so close to their home and in their face, and that they have to fucking deal with it.
Yeah, well, they should. And that's why I don't like places like Universal City Walk and all that, because it's like, it's imitating a city without being a city.
Oh, wow.
So there's no homeless in Universal City Walk. But I have to say, I have to get this in because, you know, in architecture, huh?
I used to work there.
Cool. Yeah, you know, nobody homeless. It's like, it's not a city.
Oh no, they're gonna sweep you up.
This is not a city, you know, so that's why I don't, anyway, that's my, as an architect, because there's a very, John Jardy Partnership does a lot of those kinds of places. And I am sort of politically opposed to it, because it's like, you know, it imitates the city without being a city, which, you know, you would never find a homeless person in there. So I think it's not, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me because of how I grew up, you know. So, but the other thing that I just wanted to make a point was, you know, I swear for 20 years, we've been giving students like design homeless units that can be constructed low cost and fast. And it's like, there's no end to the possibilities. We have ideas. We don't have the will. And that, you know, that's how it is. It's not that it can't be done.
How do you deal? Have you ever been harassed by them? Have you ever been, have you ever felt uncomfortable or?
Well, there's one time when I was coming back from one of Barry's New Year's parties, 2:30 in the morning or whatever time it was. And, you know, there's homeless people live under the bridges where I am. 2 stories. One is, so this guy walks by with a shopping cart. Oh, I know, it was the year 2000 and the world was going to end or something. And he walks by and he says to me, I forgot what he said to me, but it was something like, you know, nothing happened. I went, yeah, nothing happened. And we both started laughing. You know, I just looked at him. And then another time, you know, so yeah, I mean, I talked to him, he talked to me. Another time, we used to sit out in front of the house here on the cars. And what was her name? I want to say it was Mary, but I couldn't say for sure. We had our own, Mary was a homeless lady, used to live under the bridge or whatever her name was. I forget it now. But she used to like ring the bell. I would get her cupcakes for her birthday.
Wow.
She used to say, "Can you take me someplace?" I said, "Not," or "Can you give me some money?" I said, "Not if you're going to drink with it." You know, and I'd say, "You're too smart to be out here like this." But she had some problems, she had some emotional problems. And I said, "You got to get off the street, hon," And she like, at the time I was like going downtown buying dresses for $5, and she rang the bell looking for some money once, and she had on one of the dresses. I was like, "You're wearing the same dress as me. I can't be giving you money."
Okay.
But she was like our own homeless lady. So yeah, I've had but if my interaction with people like that is like, if you look them in the eye like a person, they're generally, unless they're so far gone,
They will
it's like,
respect you.
well, you're you, they're them.
You treat them respectfully, they will respect you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I've never, knock on wood, but I've never had one time in Chicago, I was waiting for a bus in middle of winter. This guy walks by, and in Chicago, or they used to, I don't know what's going on now, but they used to, like, a can of beer or a bottle of beer, they'd like put it in a little brown paper bag. So nobody gets it. It's like, what it is. But anyway, so he's drinking this thing, and he walks by, and it's the middle of the night or 10, whatever. I'm waiting for a bus, and he walks by, I'm this little white girl, and he's looking at me, and he's like, "You shouldn't be out here." I'm like, he goes, "I'm going to stand across the street and protect you, watch you." I was like,
Oh, wow.
okay. That was very sweet.
Jill, they're hiding their beer in that brown paper bag, like I'm hiding behind this wig, like no one.
Like we don't know it's you, right?
Exactly.
But anyway, he was so respectful and conscious that I might be uncomfortable. He went across the street and looked out for me.
That was nice.
And that's just my experience, so I can only speak from my experience with, I'm sure I've had others, but that one kind of, I just thought that was so sweet.
I do need to start wrapping it up now.
Yes, I understand.
I want to thank you for spending your Sunday evening, afternoon with me, and going back down memory lane and celebrating Black history and talking about Skip and Barry and Pookie and LaQuanda and Jimi Hendrix.
We're both gonna get in trouble for that one.
Jimi Hendrix and Mercy and Frank Zappa and Sheila and Being Purple. Thank you so much. And
thank you, darling.
I just have one question for you. Can I ask?
Sure.
Did you ever have any Black boyfriends?
Yes. Yes, I have. None that I married. And none that I wish I stayed with.
Tell it so, sister, tell it. Oh.
So, have you?
I've had my fair share, and looking back, yeah, I wouldn't say I made some mistakes, but
We all do.
it is what it is. So I guess you already answered the question, because one of my questions toward the end was going to be, what's next for you? And I guess that would be your artwork, the NFTs.
Yeah, I want to get the NFT. I want to try to get NFTs up. We'll see how that goes. I may not understand it enough to do. I want to keep teaching. I want to, what I want to do is instill, I believe that if a lot of people are adrift right now.
Mhm.
And I believe that if we anchor ourselves to points on the earth and align with the stars and the earth, that everything else can be kind of loose. I know I'm getting out there. I'm getting woo-woo, which I do, but I truly believe it.
The artist and architecture in you.
It's architecture, and it's also goes back to ancient Egypt and other points on Earth that were in alignment with the stars. I believe that we're in a big shift right now in consciousness, and that we need to, a lot of people are adrift because they don't know, you know, it's like we can't go back and we don't know what's forward. But if we align with these timeless universal principles,
Jill,
and we realign our hearts with the earth, and we realign the earth with the stars,
will be good.
yeah, so I don't know quite how I'm going to play that, but that's what I want to infuse into the soup.
To the soup, the gumbo. This is my last question for you since you brought it up. As you know, I went to Egypt in 2008 for my birthday with Agape, folks from Agape.
Right.
What are your thoughts on the pyramids, how they were constructed?
Oh, that could be a whole other interview. I've been studying it, and it's quite complicated. I teach architectural history, and I tried to teach it to my students, but at the time they weren't listening. But I think they're not what when they were rediscovered, it was from a bunch of 19th century white European explorers who thought they knew what they were talking about when they gave the history of them, and it's not the history of them. And so the real history of them is quite other. And they were, there's a lot of people that, there's not a lot, but there's a handful or two hands full of people that have been studying them, and they're not what they were made out to be, and they're very interesting. And I'm trying, so far I haven't had a lot of success, but I'm trying to talk the guy who does some parks with Caltrans. I said, we need to build something like that in LA.
How cool, right? Yeah. So that's another conversation that we can have at another time.
Yeah, no, it's more architectural, well, whatever, but it's really I get really excited about it. Because I like that. I like architecture. That's the architecture geek in me.
I guess the closest thing that I started working on, as far as, it wasn't architecture, even though there was an element to it, but the design, the Rose Parade, the float, the design, the floats, the Rose Parade floats. And I would help put, the flowers on there and everything. And I think that's what, led to me, thinking and wanting to be a Rose Queen.
I just loved it. I just thought that was the funniest thing I ever heard. I just fell in love with you before I met you.
So I was just telling someone else in the interview that laughter has helped me get through some very dark moments in my life and time. And it still does. And it's important to laugh. And if you have to crack jokes at others, without them knowing, that's fine. But, laughter definitely, it definitely heals, and it's healthy. It helps, so.
Absolutely.
Be more of that in the world. Thank you for spending your Sunday.
Thank you.
I really do.
Thank you. And let's talk about the pyramids some more.
I love you. I love you, Karen.
Okay, LaTanya.
Bye, Jill. We'll talk later, okay?
LaShanya.
No.
Okay, over and out. This is
Bye,
Karen saying goodbye. Love you, whoever you are. More, please, soon.